You guys should be used to this. You've seen it numerous times before. Remember, when you see the pause slide, pause. If you've already take notes. If you don't need to take any notes, just keep on going right to the next part of the presentation. But today's objective, the student will be able to read and write whole numbers and decimals. This will be done through a presentation and classroom activity. So you guys know you're doing the presentation right now. Classroom activity will be in class tomorrow. People get really, really scared because they do struggle with spelling. I do not grade you on your spelling. Yes, you're going to find out there's something called tenths, hundredths with THS, a whole bunch of THSs. As long as that's not in and it looks close to spelling, you will get credit. But we actually have to talk about the place values now. So the place values is decimal place values. You guys already know regular place values, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, but now you're going to go to the right of the decimal place instead of the left, which is dealing with the decimals, so tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So we're going to go into that right now. So here's an example of how the place values look. You've already seen this, but with just the ones to the left side, the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. But now you have the stuff of the right of the decimal. The left is the whole numbers. The right is the decimals. So we have tenths, which is the first, hundredths, which is the second, thousandths, which is the third, 10,000ths, which is the fourth, then 100,000ths, which is the fifth, and it keeps going to millions, 10 millionths, 100 millionths, and so on and so forth. And it keeps going on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And if you need this slide, I'll give it to you tomorrow in class. Now, this is the kind of sad part. I'm going to say this over and over and over, and there's stars and arrows. There is no such thing as ones place. Here's one. There's no such thing as ones place. 2. There's no such thing as ones place. 3. There's no such thing as ones place. 4. There is no such thing as ones place. So it's not tenths. It's not 9 once. It would be 9 tenths. Please, 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 please do not write once as an answer. Now we're going to get into reading decimal numbers. So reading decimal numbers, again, don't worry about spelling. Reading is the exact same as writing. You say it out loud, then you can write the words. Do not worry about spelling. I'm going to keep this first part slow so you can follow along, okay? So I'm going to point to the number. So this one's going to be 50 because the 5 is in the tenths place. 1 because the 1 is in the ones place. And then this is and. Anytime you see a decimal, it's and when you're writing it. So 51 and 9 tenths. Not 9 once. 51 and 9 tenths. So next one, 60, because 6 is in the tens place. 2, because 2 is the ones place. So 62 and 7 tenths. So 62 and 7 tenths for the next one. So this one's going to have a few more to it. It's going to go a little bit quicker. 2,000, because 2 is in the thousands place. 200, because 2 is in the hundreds place. 51 and 29 hundredths with the THS on it. So next, the last one we have, 5,237 and 34 hundredths. So 5,237 and 34 hundredths. Here's that pause part. The next part just goes to the actual question. So if you know what you're doing, go on to the next part and do the little review questions. If you don't, pause so you can go back and take notes so you can go back and do the questions. We only have 6 questions today. Not that hard. Kind of progressively get harder. So the first few are pretty easy and then they get harder as they go along. So please try to do all of them. If you're spending more than 5-6 minutes, just check your answers, see how you're doing. But do all of them. Like I said, if it's taking you a long time, say you only get to number 4, 3, and it's 5 minutes in, check your answers. If they're wrong, of course, finish it up. If they're right and you only take about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and you've done them, just feel free to go on to the next part. So take a few minutes, do these problems, and then you'll have the end of the presentation. So to recap, you guys should know how to read decimals. You should know how to write decimals. There's a few little things in there that are very important because this is where people mess up on the test. There is no such thing as ones place. There's 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 no such thing as ones place. I will give you that slide with all the place values that you saw earlier. So if you need that, tell me in class tomorrow and I'll give it to you. I'll print it out. You're welcome to use it on the test too, so you know how to spell them, so you don't have to worry about spelling if you're concerned about that. Remember, I don't grade on spelling, but it has to have THS on it. So the tenths, THS, if it is to the right of the decimal place. Last and is important too. So it would be 56 and 7 tenths. It's not 56.7 tenths. It's 56 and 7 tenths. So and is very important. So let's go back over our objective. The objective is the student will be able to read and write whole numbers and decimals. This will be done through a presentation and classroom activity.